What's up YouTube? It's we're back at it again with another video. Happy 2021, Happy New Year. I've got coffee and I've also got a bunch of Bitcoin because I bought it every single day in 2020. While everyone else was freaking out about the end of the economy and the end of civilization, I was buying a very small amount of Bitcoin every single day with a simple Python script, which I think is basically the most conservative way to dollar cost average yourself into a Bitcoin position. So if you watch until the end of the video, I'm gonna show you how much I made from this very simple automated trading strategy, how you can do it too, and then also some other sort of passive investments in Bitcoin that can generate you money long term. All right, let's go. So again, the numbers that I'm gonna show you here are just from money that was used to dollar cost average every single day into Bitcoin with this Python script. It doesn't include any of the larger purchases that I might have made over the year. As a little bit of a teaser here, and it should be interesting, some of the comparisons, here is the data from the first year of me buying Bitcoin every day with this Python script. So this data is from August 2019 to August 2020. And I did another video where I went over these results in more detail, and I'll link that up in a card somewhere. At that time, Bitcoin was trading around $10,000. It had just crashed actually down from $12,000. And my cost basis, or my break-even price at that point, was around $8,600, as you can see in the graph here. And in that first year, I made an 18% return. Pretty good, but nothing too crazy. Sort of offsets the 15 to 20% inflation that we're experiencing in the United States right now. So without further ado, here are the updated numbers. So the Bitcoin price on December 31st, 2020 that I'm going to use for these calculations was $29,289, which brought my returns up to about 190%, which is definitely outpacing the 15 to 20% inflation. And then if we use today's price of around $33,900, the percent up actually is closer to 240%. So again, a lot better than the 18% return that I was getting in August. And we'll go over why that is in a minute here. You'll note something interesting here. The cost basis in the second example is only $1,000 higher than the cost basis in the first example, or about $1,000. And that's because we've mostly seen this Bitcoin price movement over the last 2 months. In November and December was really when, the price of Bitcoin took off. And so the cost basis in that first video, we were still calculating the exact same numbers from January to September. And even the numbers from September to October were not really that crazy. It really started to shoot up to the moon here in November and December. And so that's why the cost basis is not that much different. Some of the reasons driving this huge price change in the last 2 months, one of them, sort of an old reason, the halvening back in May. If you look at Bitcoin's price historically after halvenings, it usually takes 6 months to a year for it to really start to shoot up. And that's because there are miners that are capitulating basically in the May to, I guess, November in this case timeframe. Rather than upgrading their mining equipment right away, they need to sell off a bunch of Bitcoin to make up for how inefficient their mining equipment is relative to the top-notch stuff that exists now. And so along with that supply shock from the halvening, we've also seen huge companies like PayPal, Square, MicroStrategy, and Grayscale start to accumulate massive positions in Bitcoin. And they're accumulating so much Bitcoin at this point that they're actually purchasing more Bitcoin every day than the incoming supply of Bitcoin from new block transactions being validated by miners. And so because of this, actually when you sell Bitcoin, you're selling Bitcoin probably to one of these massive companies that has no interest in ever getting rid of the Bitcoin. So if you think about it, there's all this Bitcoin floating around on an exchange, and then PayPal comes in and sucks a bunch of Bitcoin into cold storage. And so now it's in cold storage and it's not going anywhere. They're not going to come back and sell it to you later. They're going to keep it in PayPal and spend it around in PayPal. Same thing with Grayscale, same thing with MicroStrategy, same thing with Square. And you can actually see this in some of the Coinbase charts, and I'll pop one up here somewhere. You can see that there's a lot more buyers now than there are sellers, and this has just driven the price up drastically in the last 2 months. And that's really where all of these returns that I've been seeing have come from. And I think as we see more companies like MicroStrategy using Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset on their balance sheets and funneling more and more profits in over time, I think Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, has publicly said that he intends to put profits from next year also into Bitcoin. So as we see this trend sort of accelerate, I think we're going to see even more supply shocks and even more drastic price action as more and more of these companies come in and basically keep the Bitcoin price in line with these stock to flow curves that we've been seeing, where it has been following the stock to flow curves very accurately, and I expect that will continue in the future. driven by stuff like what MicroStrategy is doing. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just a guy in a room with a Kanye poster. Don't take anything I'm saying too seriously, but this is what I believe, and these have been my results so far. So like I said earlier, I was able to do all of this with just one simple Python script. And I'll have a link in the description to ret.blog, www.ret.blog, where you can find a fully detailed overview of how you can set up this Python script and everything else that you need to set up to get this done for yourself. So if you have any questions from what I'm going to go over next, check out that article first, that blog post is in the description, and hopefully that will solve or resolve some of your issues. If not, feel free to ping me on Twitter at @retre, or just go ahead and leave a comment on this YouTube video. I do respond to all the comments. Basically, the first thing you're going to need to do here is set up an account on Coinbase. I use Coinbase Pro, which is totally free. It seems like they have the lowest fee structure of any exchange that I found. They also have open API access, so that makes this entire thing possible. If they didn't have API access, you wouldn't be able to just write a Python script to do automated trading. So really all I did in this script was I told it, if it's the 15th day of the month, deposit more money into my Coinbase account, and then at the end of running the script, buy a small amount of Bitcoin. And then spit out the transaction details to one of my Google Sheets, and you could do this for any of your own Google Sheets as well. Next, I went over to AWS and I set up a Lightsail Ubuntu instance, and I hosted my Python script up on that remote machine. So that's basically just a remote Linux machine that is always going to be up. I wanted my Bitcoin script to run no matter what. If I had hosted it locally on my computer, that is off right now. If I hosted it locally on my computer, if I was on vacation or something and I wasn't actively on my computer, it wouldn't be buying Bitcoin. So I wanted this to buy Bitcoin no matter what. So I hosted that script up in AWS, which basically means that as long as Amazon doesn't fail, which, Amazon never fails. I get packages in like a day and I don't even have Prime. They're so good at logistics. As long as that Amazon AWS instance doesn't go down, this script is going to continue to buy Bitcoin, which is exactly what I want. And so then on that machine, I just set up a cron job, and so it runs that script once a day. Once again, you can find all of this information very detailed. I try to make it as detailed as possible. The full Python script, the full how to set up an AWS Lightsail instance, and then also a free Google Sheet to track all of your profits. All of that is going to be over at that blog post on ret.blog, and the link to that is in the description. Additionally, if you're looking for any other passive ways to get into Bitcoin or to get Bitcoin exposure, I highly recommend BlockFi. BlockFi has 3 products. The first is an interest-bearing crypto sort of a savings account. It's not FDIC insured, so it's not exactly a savings account. But what you can do is you can park your stablecoins or Bitcoin in your BlockFi account, and you can earn up to 8.6% interest on your stablecoins, and then I think it's like 6 or 6.5% interest on Bitcoin. The second is a lending platform where you can use your crypto as collateral and take out a US dollar loan. This is great so you don't have to pay capital gains tax on any of your Bitcoin position if you're ever going to sell it, or if you ever need to sell it to get cash for some reason. And then the third product is a cryptocurrency exchange where you can buy and sell crypto for US dollars. That's really helpful just because it's integrated into this whole ecosystem where you can save, you can lend, and then you can also buy crypto if you need a place to buy crypto. I've been using BlockFi now since May, and I highly recommend the product. I really look forward to getting those interest payments at the end of the month, especially when my traditional bank account is giving me basically 0% interest. You have nothing to look forward to there, and the BlockFi interest day at the end of the month each month is something that I really look forward to because it's a meaningful amount of money. I also recently started to accept my interest payment in Bitcoin instead of US dollar stablecoins just because of the crazy run that we've been going on in Bitcoin, and you can change what you accept your interest payment in month to month with no problem. It's a really great service, so if you haven't checked it out and you are interested, go ahead, link in the description to BlockFi, go earn a bunch of interest. It's really great. Additionally, BlockFi is coming out with the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card, which I think is sure to compete with Fold's Bitcoin rewards debit card. And I think both of those cards and cards like this that come out in the future are going to revolutionize sort of the credit card point receiving game. I did some videos about credit card rewards recently, so I'm going to link those up in the cards as well. And on one of those videos, I got a comment from the legend himself, Bobo Baby, asking me what my thoughts were on credit card companies inflating their point values. So this has actually happened to me right when I first got my Marriott card. Marriott actually merged with SPG and created this whole Bonvoy thing. And when they did that, they actually increased the number of points that you needed to stay at high-end properties. Previously, maybe you needed 50,000 points a night to stay at a high-end property, and they had raised it to 75,000 points. And so what they did there was they made the points that you were currently holding less valuable. And they can do that because they're the sole issuer of the points. And it comes back to this whole idea of MMT versus Bitcoin, which I also did a video about that. I'm not just trying to plug all my videos. I do want you to watch them, but all this stuff is related. Hotel points, US dollars, both things things that are controlled by a central entity that can just be printed or inflated at any point. Bitcoin, not owned by any single person, can never be inflated. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So this sort of fixes the entire, oh, I'm worried about I'm holding 500,000 points on my hotel or travel provider. What happens if they inflate the value of those points? That's going to be, I'm going to lose a bunch of theoretical money that I had just storing, sitting in points. That can't happen with Bitcoin. If you get your rewards in Bitcoin, no one's going to be able to inflate Bitcoin. They might be able to drive the price up really high, and that would be good for you. And the price might fall short term, and that would be bad for you. But no one can print more Bitcoin and debase the Bitcoin that you already have. And so you do have that level of security and sovereignty over the money that you're holding when it is stored in Bitcoin. In the words of the great Robert Breedlove, there are only 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and 21 million Bitcoin. There will never be more. That's it. All right, so if you guys need any help with anything that I said was confusing, you think anything I said was stupid or wrong, go ahead, leave it in the comments. I respond to all the comments, and I would love to explain anything better or just give you my point of view if I didn't explain something thoroughly enough for you if you have any questions. Additionally, like the video if you made it this far, and go subscribe and hit the notification bell to join Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Squad. These videos come out every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Squad gets really sweet notifications on their phones when new videos come out. So go become a part of that. We're on our way to 30 members of Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Squad, and there's only like 3 spots left. So this is pretty competitive. If you want to be one of the first 30 people to become part of Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Squad, time's running out. You're going to really need to join pretty soon because there aren't that many slots left. All right, that's it. I love you all. Happy 2021. Goodbye.